na tumfuane mkwai
So what has happened in Zambia today is unprecedented. So what has happened is not something that any Zambian should be proud of, but I can say we've got so many different opinions, so many different camps. Some people are happy about what has happened, and some people seem to provide sympathy to the president that was attacked by an angry mob. And some Zambians appear to be proud. They appear to be so happy, and some people even dancing about the same situation. Let's just take a look and see at this video right here. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Very shameful.
For removing a church in advance, I've celebrated you because I know you cannot speak at the moment. Okay? You cannot speak at the moment of Futsek Malambo with your Tonga name. Get out. What do you mean my lips have started bending? Isn't that how I talk? Food sick. Mafienu. What does say? So the fearless Chingola people have demonstrated that, look, HH, this also shows that you are nothing. Without even that police escort.
So what we've just seen is just crazy. Because today it could be the president of Zambia, tomorrow it could be anyone. So what we've been told is that people turned up in huge numbers to welcome the president. So a visit meant to comfort traders who had just lost everything in the Chingola market fire. So the president went to express sympathy and to see the damage for himself and to promise the people the support for those who had lost their livelihoods. And by livelihood, I mean people whose lives were dependent on the market, on the business stores, and whatever business it is that was going on at that market. But what began as a gesture of care quickly turned into chaos. Some in the crowd, driven by frustration over unfulfilled promises and the rising cost of living. So those people are the ones that we saw that suddenly turned their frustration into anger, and we saw aggression and people stoning, physically getting stones to stone the president of the Republic of Zambia. Now, whatever it is, I can see there are other people that appears to be happy about what has happened, and other people on the side of the coin seem to be very disappointed at what has happened. Or personally, I do not agree with the fact that the office of the president had to be disrespected in that manner by showing that level of aggression to stone the head of state in that way, to make him duck in that sort of fashion. I think that is unprecedented and it should never be allowed on the Zambian soil, and it's very shameful. Now, we all know what happens with anger. People can be frustrated because it's about people's livelihoods, particularly those that are not able to fend for themselves. Now, while anger may be understood, but the act itself is unacceptable. It should never be allowed that you should even contemplate of getting a stone and lashing it at somebody, whether they are the head of state, whether they're in the position of authority, whether it's just a mayor friend or whoever it is, it's just not acceptable. I mean, such kind of levels of violence is something that must not be accepted at any level, whether it's political, personal, or whatever it is. I mean, you can disagree with the president, you can disagree with his policies. I mean, I'm not even UPND myself. I don't belong to his party. I don't agree with him in at so many levels. And personally, I feel as though the president from 2021, when he came into power, he's not fulfilled some of the promises that he said he was going to do. But that's not reason enough to get a stone or to lash out at him and show anger at the head of state. I don't think that's the right way of resolving matters. I think the best way to deal with a head of state or any president or any person in the position of authority, particularly those that get voted in, is to simply vote them out using democratic means. Now, we've got elections in Zambia coming up in 2026 next year, and if people are not happy with the president, the current president of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. HH, the best thing you can do is to do yourselves a service by voting this man out. Now, I'm not advocating for that, obviously, but what I'm saying is violence must never be the first resort of trying to solve a problem. This is just not acceptable. It should not be allowed, and it's just wrong. Now, we all know that Zambia's power has always been in its peace. You know, this is one of the strengths within the region that Zambia has boasted about for so many years. Now, just give and take, what if that particular stone, whatever it is, or weapon was used at the president of the Republic of Zambia and something had terribly gone wrong today? Are you telling me there was going to be peace as we speak today in Zambia? No. The question is, there was not going to be any peace today. So that's not the way to resolve matters. You know, I think people need to be mature enough. And what we've seen about other people celebrating in that manner, in that fashion, and calling out the president in such kind of ways, I think this is what brews up and brings up all this hatred. And it's wrong for the country. It's wrong for leadership. It's wrong for inspiration. And all the youth, the young people that are picking up all these bad habits, what are you telling them? So, I mean, if we adults are going to be dancing about and celebrating such kind of an evil act, what does that say about the future generation? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This must never be allowed. It must never be tolerated. And whoever was behind this stoning, I'm sure the CIDs or whoever it is, the intelligence people, must carry out their work diligently and bring this person to book and charge this person and make sure that this person faces the law in the manner in which they deserve it, because you do not disrespect the office of the president of Zambia in that manner. Now, I don't care about the president himself. I'm not talking about the president. I'm on about the office of the president of the Republic of Zambia, for which Mr. HH happens to occupy that particular office. And obviously his dignity and his respect comes with the fact that he occupies the office of the president. And we know Zambia's power has always been in its peace. Different people all across the spectrum. I think this is how a lot of Zambians were brought up, to know peace and to know that you should always love your neighbor. You should always be in peace with your neighbor. But I think what we've seen today is something that is extraordinary, and it's something that is very shameful. I know Zambia has got 73 tribes, and there's a possibility of differing at so many different levels. But as we know, from the time of Dr. David Kenneth Kaunda, the One Zambia, One Nation slogan, this is something that united us as Zambians. And of late, there's been some sentiments of tribalism, and amongst which I know a lot of people have been complaining to the current head of state. But again, that's not a reason. There's no reason, absolutely none, that justifies what has actually happened today. So this is unprecedented and must be condemned, not just at national level, at international level, and at any other level you might want to be, even at godly level, whatever it is. This must not be allowed to happen ever again. Not on the soil of Zambia. We all know that leadership must answer to the people. Yes, leadership has to answer to the people. In this case, we've got the president who continues to provide all these promises, and there's no question about that. Yes, he's responsible and he has to answer to the people. But at the end of the day, the people too must respect the dignity of the nation, particularly the office of the president. And I remember my mother always used to say, do not fight in the presence of other people. Nsiku, do not fight in the presence of other people, because once you do that, other people will take advantage of the situation, and they might even make matters worse. Because what we know is that Zambia has always been proud of its peace. Zambia has always been proud of the way it carries itself locally and within international communities. And so when it comes to that peaceful front, I think we need to maintain that. There's no question about that. People can demand better without destroying respect. You can protest without losing peace. You can disagree without dishonoring Zambia. So I think what we've seen today is a very dark cloud that has fallen on Zambia. And my hope and prayer is that even as elections come in 2026, we should have peaceful elections, as we've seen in all these other countries. From Malawi, we've seen elections in the Seychelles, and Tanzania did not have peaceful elections. And we don't want a situation like what happened in Tanzania or Cameroon happen on the soil of Zambia. So this is something that we pray for peace, and we hope and pray that Zambia remains a peaceful country as it is known by. So peace.